Alright guys, we're back, and we got Atlas is going to show you off his Alfred build. It's a mixture of the Alfred support from the comic booster and Seekers, so go ahead Alfred. Go ahead Atlas.
Great, he just called me Alfred. I'll take Chain of Knights Atlas. Alright, basically I found that the Alfred support doesn't specify what Alfred you're using. So I was looking at Seeker stuff and I found that Alfred Exiv is quite a good card. So I decided to combine the two. Starting off, we have Guidepost Sage Elron Hubbard. I'm serious, his name's Elron. His skill is when you have an Alfred Vanguard, you can counterblast, shove him in soul, get a grade 2 or less anything, any sort of Royal Paladin, call it to rearguard, as long as it's not him. Typically, you use this to, it's a cheaper cost for Alfred Exiv skill. You can also get kind of anything. Pretty much everything in the deck is Seekers except for, you know, Stride Fodder and stuff like that, but he's still a great starter. You can, the file is horrible. I don't like file, so Elron. Next up, you have, you gotta run Seeker triggers because Alfred Exiv's skill requires that sort of counterblast. So you have 4 Seeker heals, 8 Seeker crit, and then I only have 2, but it should be 4 Seeker draw on Margal. Margal himself isn't really needed because you're not using Sing Saver, so there's not really anything you need to Soul Blast except for one thing, but that happens by riding normally. So 4 PGs. I ran the GPGs initially because I thought I needed unflips, but you unflip more than Tony Hawk with bipolar disorder. So
what does that even mean?
You shut up.
It doesn't mean anything, Atlas.
Because Tony Hawk like kick flips and stuff, and bipolar you switch between personnel. Shut up. Anyway,
okay. Do you hate yourself?
Yes. Anyway, so GPGs unflip, you're fine. If you want to use that, I think running Seeker PGs is better because you can use Alfred counterblast. So I'll be sure to replace these eventually. Then you have Seeker 10k attackers. They're mostly used for you know, 7k boosters, but they're good for that early game rush. There is a Seeker rush build where you like, you know, run that what's his name, the thing that's like an 8k booster starter. So this deck plays the grade 2 game quite well because of these and among other stuff. Next you have 10k booster while your Vanguard's in Legion. Honestly, any Seeker does well here. For a while I ran the 7k guy that when he's called while you're in Legion, he gets 4k for the turn. I like this though because if you have a full field of Seekers and Alfred Exiv, it's a 36k with extra crit, which is crazy go nuts. So I like him for now, but who knows? You can kind of run it whatever you want in here as long as it's Seeker. 3 Stride Fodder. Despite, you know, it being Seeker centric, it's still good to be able to pull off a stride every now and then, and he's still a 7k booster, so he's in here. Lastly, we have one of these, Paccgal. One of my favorite early game things is to go, or early to mid game, is you go right Alfred Exiv, counterblast 2, get a Seeker, and then use Elron still to get Paccgal, unflip 2, and then get another Seeker. So he's good. He's a good one of, maybe 2 of, if you don't feel like running like another Stride Fodder or something like that. He's a nice tech. Grade 2s are pretty simple. 4 Blaster Blade Seeker and 1 Legion Rare, but he's when put on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard with Seeker, counterblast, kill a grade 2 or higher. He's a mate for Alfred, so he's there for that reason. You can also run, I ran 2 regular Blaster Blade because that Legion's with regular Alfred, but it took up too much counterblast to like fill up the rearguard and stuff, so I took him out after a while. Then you have 4 12k attacker. It's great for early game if you're rushing. It's great for if you have a 7k booster to pick off rear guards because you're attacking for 19. He just works really well. And I know his name's Cerdic, but I call him Cedric. So. And then lastly, you have one of the many unflippers in this deck. You have 3 Proudroar Lion. His skill is if he hits Vanguard while you have a Seeker Vanguard, you unflip a damage and then give another of your units whatever you want, plus 2k. It also works on Vanguard circles, so a kind of fun early game thing is you go Like you go ride Proudroar, call Blaster Blade Seeker, kill off one of their rear guards, attack with Proudroar. They're probably going to take it because it's early game. Then you unflip the damage you just took and make Blaster Blade Seeker an 11k attacker. It's kind of a fun combo. It's great, you know, a little later in the game when you're like starving for damage, and it's probably one of the better like you know, Bushiroad like goes, we'll toss you a card for whatever archetype every now and then. It was a good one, definitely. So those are the grade 2s. There's a lot of freedom in there with the ratios. You can run 4 Proudroar, 3 Cerdic, or, you know, 3 Blaster Blade Seeker if you're feeling daring, and, you know, 4 and 4. As long as you have the ability to pull off the Legion, it kind of doesn't matter. Then we have 4 Alfred Exiv and 1 Legion Rare. The non-Legion still is you counterblast 2 Seeker, call a Seeker from deck. So that's why it's pretty much a whole Seeker engine. It's great for saving hand. And then the Legion skill is for every Seeker unit not rear guard. So if you're in Legion with Blaster Blade Seeker, it counts as 21k by himself. So that's really nice. But so it gets plus 1k for every Seeker, and then if you have a full field of Royal Paladin, doesn't have to be Seeker, he gets a crit. So it's great, great passive pressure for sure. And then the thing that made this good, so before, typically in Seeker builds, you ran this and Sing Saver, but they tended to conflict with each other. So with this, you now have Galahad. Galahad is a new dude who came in the comic booster. He's like $1, so this deck got a lot cheaper for sure, instead of Sing Saver being like 20 bucks. His skill is when you ride him, you counterblast 2 anything. Superior ride an Alfred from deck, and then you call him out of soul. So you immediately filled up your field for 2 counterblast, you thinned your deck of a grade 3, and his other skill is if you have an Alfred Vanguard, which you will literally all the time unless you didn't have 2 counterblast, and he hits a Vanguard, you unflip the damage. So with him and Proudroar, you are unflipping way too much. So this thing I really think gave Exiv the boost that he needed to really become good. And then obviously you can use him for stride fodder. He's a great grade 3 to call the rear guard because he's still unflipping. If you Shroud on top of him, it keeps the name. So this thing definitely was the boost that Alfred needed. Plus it's got that really cool broken glass rarity design from BTO3. I like it a lot. So that's the deck. And then we have the G-Zone, which Royal Paladin just keeps getting lucky with their G-Zone. Starting, you have Gablade, Lady Gaga Blade. When he hits, call a grade 2 from deck. Awesome. You can call Proudroar or anything else you like. So you either get a 12k attacker, an unflipper because it gets greater, so you can get Galehaut too. So you either get a 12k attacker, an unflipper, or a retire of grade 2 or higher. So this thing is a great first stride. 2 Aerial Divine Knight Alt Mile. He's a great first stride if you don't feel like getting something from deck where you just unflip him and your front row gets plus 3k. So Cedric's hitting for 15, so that's more pressure on rear guards. And then if you had stridden before, you can get a grade 2 from deck and it gets 5k. So this thing is just super nice for if you're starving for hand. Then you have Samuel, which Samuel is one of those cards where it's a great panic button and it's a great try and seal your victory. Where when you attack, if you got a full field, counterblast 2, they take a damage. So if you have a full field and you're trying to push for games, so you put them at 5 before the attack even hits, that's great. And then if you have to fill your field desperately, you can do that and then still get the extra damage to put them from 2 to 3. So this guy can also work as a first stride if you're having that kind of game. So he's a good one of. 2 Saint Blow. If he's your second stride, or you flip over a copy of him, he gets 3k for every rear guard. And then if he's your second stride or more, he gets a crit. Great late game, great mid game. It definitely is a good finisher for Royals. So there's 2 of him in here. And then lastly, Holy Squire Dragon, also $1 for some reason. But his skill is when you flip over a copy of him, it unlocks all your cards. So that's really important. This thing gave Royals the ability to compete with Link Joker. I don't know why Gold's got all the, unlock all your cards thing. Monarch Alfred, it just happened for some reason. But this dude, he also gets plus 2k or all your rear guards get plus 2k, and then a GB3 Saint Blow still, where it gets plus 3 for every rear guard. So he's good for, if you're playing against Link Joker. He's also a good mid-game dude. If you don't feel like pulling off Saint Blow, you don't have the Counter Blast for Samuel, Alt Mile isn't going to do you any good. This thing is kind of the good, good mid-game. And then I was also considering taking out the 2 Alt Mile for 2 more copies of him, but I think the ability to replenish your rear guard in times of trouble is still really good. So he's in there. If you're not playing Link Joker, this is probably your G-Assist target where you just take out these 2. So that's pretty much the whole deck. That's Seeker Alfred. Like, comment, subscribe, and beat you to it. And have a good night, everybody.